and welcome, welcome, my friends. So lovely to see your faces, and the exchange of energy for me is such a wonderful way to start the week. And I appreciate you sustaining this. We've been doing this for almost 4 years, which to me just is, and I'm crying a lot these days. Um, and the overflow for me just feels like just releasing all of the stuff that's going on right now. And so I was thinking about what to focus on today, sort of an important day today in the States, the day before tomorrow, which is a very important day. And what was occurring to me as I was getting ready is we have a saying that we've employed for many years, which is favor the opening. Favor the opening. And when you apply that to your loop of awareness, when we look at other people, when we send our energy out, when we're giving our attention outward, what are you giving your attention to? And when we're giving attention to ourselves, what are we favoring? And what I've seen, over these many years is that mostly people favor what's wrong. What's wrong, what needs to be fixed, what's not working, not only in us, but in the world and in other people. And I want to invite you to play with, especially this week, literally favoring the opening. So especially when you're feeling stuck or tight or or heavy, dense, in there, if you let your attention roam around, there is an opening. There will be an opening, and it might be really tiny. It might be just a breath moving into some place that you haven't really given your attention to. So I wanted to have you do that first with yourself. When you turn your attention toward yourself, and particularly if you let yourself do a body scan, like the first thing I notice is, oh, that place in my shoulder is, acting up again. So we, are reflexive. I think also to take care of ourselves is we want to kind of track, is anything wrong that needs to be taken care of? But I'd like you to then let your attention move toward what's an opening, and how would I recognize an opening in me? And when I do that, what just happened was underneath my hair in the back of my neck, I felt just this little kind of, it was like a little whispering of space. And that's an opening. And we might have a definition of, like, an opening needs to be like, aha, it's a big, everything, the heavens open and everything changes. But usually the opening, like when a bud is appearing out of the earth, it comes through a little tiny opening and then begins to take up more space. So I'd love for you to take a moment and just scan your body and letting yourself wonder, where's an opening and how can I favor that? And the best way I know to favor an opening is by giving my attention to it. And I noticed also that I let my breath move to whatever that area is, even if it's not a place where breath actually goes. Like, so in the back of my knees, I was just feeling this kind of like a fan beginning to open. So what are the signals of opening for you? We're very familiar, I think, so familiar that we don't really even notice the signals of closing or protecting, which come from fear. But when you let yourself focus on what's an opening and how can I favor that? So for me, an internal allows me to favor it. A little bit of movement, not big movement, but a little bit of movement, like a wiggle or an ooze, allows me to let that opening continue to move in me. So I find that the signals of sensory signals are the most reliable for me. but I also might get images. I might see or sense images. So water has often been a signal of opening for me. So anywhere in you that you're feeling could use some flow, when you experience an opening, let that flow toward any place in you that's asking for that kind of attention. And when you do that and you let your body respond, then the opening tends to connect you more with yourself, but also to connect you more with possibilities rather than shutting yourself down. So when you favor the opening, it almost always leads to more connection, more weaving of wholeness with yourself and with others. So if you find just one place that you would like to have open and you're favoring the opening is not doing that, I'd like you to practice what came up for me, both in my intention, but also on the card that I picked today. And I'm just going to show it to people rather than having you. I suppose you can show it to people, but what this is uh, I'm willing to give drops of love anywhere I need or want them. I'm willing to give drops of love anywhere I need or want them. So there's the image again of the water, which has always been really valuable for me. And also, water is irresistible. Water is going to get in anywhere where there's the slightest bit of an opening. And so, if you have any kind of a possibility of opening, giving that place a drop of love can make a really big difference in continuing to feel that weaving of wholeness. So, as you're experimenting with giving attention to you and favoring the opening, any places that feel, they're just don't want to come along, those are places that you can give a drop of love. And what I'd love for you to do is to imagine, you can imagine reaching into this card and imagine that there's just love in there, and you can pull a drop of love out of that and give it to yourself. You can feel love around you, and you can reach out and get a dropper full and give yourself a drop of love. When you give yourself a drop of love, let yourself notice how you receive that, because we're so speedy as a culture. We're, like, oh, okay, now I'm going to do a drop of love. And so we do a drop of love and then on to the next drop of love. And don't let it really soak in. So letting the drop of love soak in, taking a breath or two, noticing how your body wants to move, and then noticing any place else in you where you're experiencing, you're favoring the opening, and then there's a place that goes, oh, me, I want some love here. And giving yourself that drop of love and then letting it soak in. That was part of what we were exploring last week, of letting the love saturate. So it can also go in through those little openings and continue moving around in you, because just even a tiny little drop of love makes a huge difference. And then I'd like you to let yourself notice around you, giving drops of love anywhere around you in your environment, but also anywhere in the world. I have several people I know now who have had close people in their families die in just the last period of time, and so I'm sending drops of love to them, and also with the intention that it soak in. And I can do that by also bringing my attention back to me and letting my love for them soak into me, so that we're circulating love. We're circulating drops of love. So drops of love for them and drops of love for me. And if you let yourself be in wonder, your body will tell you, oh, here, I want a little bit here. And it might seem really odd to you, like there's a place right in the back of my head that wants a drop of love. So, okay, so I'm going to get a drop of love and let that land, let that soak in. And what I notice for me is that I settle. I wonder what you're noticing when you let the drops of love and favoring the opening. So I settle, I get quieter, and I can feel my perception opening. So I know I'm moving out of protection and into exploration and connection. And that process, I want to invite you, especially over the next few days, those of you who live in the States, or, I think, what happens here in the States affects the whole world. So any of you who would like to add to the flow of possibility and of connection. And I love that that Kamala in the last couple of days has really been emphasizing that we're all in this together. And for me, when I give and receive drops of love, I can let myself include people that if I just looked at them from my normal personality, I would go, ugh. But if I'm favoring the opening, that actually I find seeds possibility and opening. And I've had just amazing connections with people that I know do not share my philosophy, or my politics, but we share humanity. And I would love for us all to focus on just the great miracle of actually being here in a human body on this planet right now. So that's drops of love. And then for our present connect play today, presence is notice and follow what your body wants to do. I love it. I love it how all this comes together. So I love that too, that expression, Darlene and Pamela, ta-da, of course, of course. So that's the kind of thing that I notice, that when I'm turning toward, when I'm favoring the opening, there are all kinds of wonderful little magical surprises that occur. And it also takes me out of my worry brain and into wonder. And I know that miracles can happen anytime. And so as we are letting your body do what it wants to do, I think you'll find that there are little cues there. There are little that your body will tell you, oh, I want a little more breath, or I'd like some water. I mean, it can be very practical, as well as esoteric. So the opening, the receiving, and the soaking in. And then most people go up and start thinking about it or planning or, how I'm going to put it into action. But I want you to let yourself keep landing in your body and letting that juice from your body float up into your head and give you more fluid and more opening and more connection in your brain. So you're not recycling worry thoughts, but you're opening to possibility and you're opening to magic occurring. I keep remembering, when the Berlin Wall came down, because people say, oh, it's just not possible for us to have anything new happening. And, it's just going to continue down this road. Well, one day everybody just decided, okay, we're finished with that. So one day we had the Berlin Wall and the next day it was gone. And everybody, there was complete agreement about that. There was never any, and I happened to, be working in Germany, at the time, and they turned, what had been a no man's land into, a connection, a international metropolis, in the middle of Berlin. And so, and I know, Susanna, you probably have your own deep experience of that whole thing occurring. But the thing I want us to remember is that we can change our minds and change things that are going on right now, anytime. So that kind of magic, I'm favoring the opening for that. And then, connecting is listening appreciatively. And when you're listening appreciatively, My sense is that everybody on here is really good at doing that with other people and looking at what they, how you can share an appreciation that helps them to open. But I'm imagining that you don't do as much of that with you. So I want you to this week listen appreciatively to you. And how can you do that? How can you listen to you? Because my experience is that when I start listening, my body says, "Oh, thank you." It might be a little snarky at me, like, "Thank you, finally." But then my body will go, "Oh, yes, now over here. And what about this? And oh, I think I'd like to eat something differently." So my body really starts speaking to me. So listening appreciatively rather than the way that we always listen to ourselves is, what's wrong now and what do I need to fix so that I can be okay? So shifting that to just take a moment to listen appreciatively to yourself right now and notice how your body is speaking to you. So for me, my body speaks through sound and sensation, because I'm more kinesthetic. So your body may speak to you through images that come up. Your body may speak to you through dreams. Your body may speak to you through something that you notice going by in the street or a billboard, or you hear something on your Sirius satellite, or you see something going by on television, and that adds to the weave. So listening appreciatively is again shifting to what's possible rather than what's wrong, which is our default brain position, but it's not our default whole body position. So cultivating the opening, and then when your brain gets all heavy, you can give yourself drops of love. And then your play move is bodify your experience for a moment before speaking. One thing that I notice in conversations is that people don't allow for the rhythm of the conversation, that it's usually and there's not a landing and then a soaking in. So if something's coming at you, no matter what it is, if you let your body speak first before your mouth, you're going to find that you're co-creating with your body's wisdom, and that the words that come out will more closely match what's going on for you. So you can even try that out if you want to when you're having your conversation after I leave, is trying out letting your body answer first. Because I think we're also trained to, if we don't say something right away, that we're not paying attention, or we're not, being respectful of the other person. But I've noticed that if I let my body receive, that I'm going to get much more of the message and much more of what I want to communicate back to the other person. And it can also surprise me. So if I'm not rehearsing, which is another thing we do, I got to rehearse and I got to say the right thing. But if I let myself bodify and then just open my mouth and let come out what wants to be shared, it can be a discovery for me. And that's also another way of favoring the opening, rather than trying to say the right thing, or rebutting, because somebody said something I didn't like. That if I interrupt that with giving my body a chance to speak, then I'm much more, again, weaving that experience of connection. And then that all feeds into favoring the opening and having a good time. So, regardless of what is going on in the world, you can co create and create a good time for you and for the people that you encounter. So, that's what I want to invite you to do during this, very historical week that we're in right now. So thank you so much. And I'm going to go on into other things right now. And yes, thank you. Mwah. Big mwah. Love to all of you. And take good care this week. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye now.
Thank you.